Wiltfong Whiparound. Steve, last week, Georgia led in the crystal ball for KJ Bolden. Auburn at one point looked like a front runner, but ultimately it was Florida State. So how did Mike Norvell and his staff pull this one off?
Well, with each visit this summer, these programs all appeared to have some momentum coming out of the visit, as KJ Bolden and his family genuinely had love for every program that was a finalist. But Florida State was first to offer KJ Bolden over 3 years ago. It was his dream school. He's been visiting Tallahassee since he was 9 years old. And so watching Coach Norvell and that staff turn the program around this past year, 10 wins for the first time since 2016. A return visit this summer was a big needle mover there, building relationship with Coach Pat Surtain, seeing what Florida State's done in the transfer portal, getting to know some of the commits like Charles Lester, who also recently committed. I think that he loves and the family loves the trajectory of the program and the things that they have in place for his future moving forward, and that's why Florida State won out. It sounds like Florida State grabbed the momentum with that visit and never relinquished it, so they led for several weeks here down the stretch before he announced for the Seminoles on Saturday night, Friday night. It all runs together.
Steve, the Seminoles rise to number 4 nationally in the team rankings, and it really began in late July when Charles Lester and Manasseh Etete joined the fold. Now KJ Bolden becomes a loud exclamation point to cap the summer. What is next for FSU with still work to be done in this cycle?
Yeah, they're in on a lot of key targets moving forward as they try and maintain a top 5 class moving forward. And as you alluded to, the spatula has already been kind of good to Florida State so far here as they flip top targets. They flipped the number 1 ranked tight end, Landon Thomas from Georgia, early this cycle. You mentioned Manasseh Etete. They're looking for some heavy flips moving forward. Now, I'm not predicting these are going to come to fruition, but Florida State's still on the board for Jeremiah Smith, our top-ranked receiver, longtime Ohio State commit. Made it back to Tallahassee this summer. Perhaps he takes his official for the Miami game later this fall. JoJo Trader committed to Miami. That also is one that could be tough to flip, but Florida State in the middle there. They're battling for Zaquan Patterson, battling Miami, Ohio State, among others for him. 2 other flips that they're looking for. Jason Zandamela committed to USC. There was a time where it looked like Florida State led for perhaps the number 1 center in the country, but he's committed to USC. They already have beat the Trojans for Manasseh Etete. Now maybe they can pull another one off with Jason Zandamela. They're not going to go away there. And Artavius Jones is a top 247 defensive lineman in state that they still covet, that they're going to push for. A couple other big names for Florida State moving forward, guys. You got LJ McCray, who is one of the most coveted defensive linemen in the country. Georgia and Florida have had a lot of momentum with him as of late. He's going to take his official to Florida State this fall, so we'll see what happens there. Some DBs, some other DBs they're swinging at. McCray's Mainland High teammate there, Xavier Mincy, who's a top 247 defensive back, and then Jamari Howard, a top 247 cornerback from in-state. Michael Boganowski's a linebacker they like from Kansas as they take this thing national. And then Florida State, they're going to take some swings at some other elite players. They had top 247 corner Wardell Madison for an official. And then Brandon Baker. A lot of schools swinging at Brandon Baker from Texas to Ohio State to Nebraska, Oregon, of course. But Florida State, they're going to try and make a move there as well.
What I'm hearing is they're just getting started. We need to keep our eye on Florida State. Let's hit on another 5-star prospect, defensive lineman Williams Nwaneri. He is nearing his commitment date, set for August the 14th. You've got Oklahoma, Mizzou, Georgia, Tennessee, and out of the Big Ten, Oregon, all interested here. So what's the latest with his decision just over a week away?
Yeah, and I just talked to him shortly before going on the air with you guys here this week, and he says he has his mind made up, and he's going to announce his commitment a week from today. I think that when you look at the schools that are in best position, Missouri's certainly a program that is very much on the rise in this recruitment. Georgia is one that's been a mainstay. His official visit the first weekend of June really thrusted them into fantastic position. Then Oklahoma is one that has always been considered one to keep an eye on. Tennessee and Oklahoma, as you said, are rounding out the contenders. Now, some interesting things here that Williams Nwaneri has to sift through as he goes through his process. If he were to choose Missouri, he could cash in on name, image, likeness opportunities sooner because of a recently passed law in state that allows prospects that commit to in-state public universities or that go with in-state public universities, they're allowed to profit off their name, image, likeness. And so that's an element in addition to his great relationship with the Missouri staff. And he told me he thinks that's a program that's on the rise, has a chip on its shoulder. That's another element that's in play. Certainly, there's a lot of good NIL opportunities at places like Georgia and Oklahoma to consider down the road. Great relationship with Coach Chidera at Georgia, talks to him frequently. Coach Chavis and Coach Bates at Oklahoma, those are his guys. He knows guys in the locker room over there as well. So those are three programs I could see him at right now with the week to go, and he'll announce at 7 p.m. Central next Monday between those five programs.
Williams Nwaneri is not the only five-star that is set to announce his decision very soon. Steve, Colin Simmons, the five-star edge from Duncanville, Texas, will reveal his college choice this Thursday. It is down LSU, Miami, Texas. Those are the finalists. What is the buzz around Colin Simmons heading into the decision?
Well, I'm not sure there's a more explosive edge rusher in the country, right? 33 tackles for loss, 22 and a half sacks en route to a state championship. There's two programs that I get the sense feel they're an outstanding position for him going into his announcement. So there's going to be some heartbreak when he steps to the mic and announces his college decision. LSU, the program that I've had predicted for over a year now, and coming out of his visit to Baton Rouge back in the spring for the Tigers spring game, there's a lot of confidence about LSU's position. And then he returned this last weekend here in July, and you talk to people that spent time with him, and there's a lot of good vibes there. But he took that official visit to Texas in June, and coming out of that trip, people that spent time with him also felt great about him ending up at Texas. Yeah, I think Texas moving to the SEC is big for him. Coach Sark, his plan, what he's doing with the program really speaks to Colin and his family. The opportunities off the field with commercial real estate and the alumni connections that Texas offers in states, all things that they like about Texas, but the culture, the campus, just the amount of times they've been to LSU, they really feel at home there. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. My predictions on LSU right now, but certainly not sleeping on Texas going into Colin Simmons' commitment this week.
Steve, it's been a while. Do you remember how to do it? How to ask the people to hit that like button? There we go. We got the double thumbs up. If you have not already, go ahead and hit that like button. We'd love to see who's watching, see who's engaging. We already have a lot of great comments. Again, we're going to answer some questions at the end of the show, but I got more questions here for Steve Wiltfong. I got to ask about Colin Simmons' teammate, four-star running back Caden Durham. He will be making his college choice on the same day. That's Thursday the 10th. His top three is LSU, also involved, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. So what's the feeling here as one of the top backs nears his commitment date?
Yeah, one of the fastest, most explosive players in the country. LSU, we don't know if he's going, we don't know for sure with Colin Simmons. That could go Texas's way, that could go LSU's way, but we feel like Brian Kelly and company are going to be happy to a certain degree that day when Caden Durham announces his college decision. The 24/7 Sports crystal ball is on LSU. I feel confident in that forecast going into his decision. Was also there for the spring game. Also returned for the BK Bayou splash at the end of July, and all the intel says that LSU's in great position. Coach Frank Wilson has done a great job recruiting him. LSU, they have a top 10 class right now, number 10. They finished number 6 last year. Caden Durham's one of their top overall players on the board, 10-2 speed at times in the 100-meter dash, almost 2,000 yards rushing, 36 scores. Would be a big pickup for Brian Kelly and company if they could add him to what is already one of the nation's top recruiting classes, and I think they ultimately will.
Finally, Steve, four-star Guerby Lambert out of Massachusetts is one of the best uncommitted offensive tackles remaining. He took official visits already to Notre Dame, Boston College, Ohio State, and Harvard. Marcus Freeman and the Irish lead in the crystal ball. How close are we to finding out where Lambert will play his college ball?
Yeah, he does not have a decision date in like some of his elite blue chip peers that we talked about, but I think he's going to come off the board here in August. Wouldn't be surprised if it's within the next 2 weeks. Brian Doan and I, Tom Loy, our Irish Illustrated insider, all have 24/7 Sports crystal ball forecasts in favor of Notre Dame right now, and I haven't heard any different. Like the Irish's position here, Marcus Freeman and company have the nation's #7 recruiting class right now. Guerby Lambert, one of their top targets this cycle, regardless of position. This could be one of Notre Dame's best classes, if not their best class in the 24/7 Sports era. They have 22 commits right now. Guerby Lambert, obviously high on Notre Dame. You mentioned the official visit to Harvard. He is super high on academics in his decision. I think small campus size is something else that puts Notre Dame in good position. And then their offensive line pedigree and the stage they play football. All reasons why we're feeling Notre Dame right now for Guerby Lambert. But Ohio State, they got great inroads at the school with Ryan Day and Justin Fry and their history working at Boston College in the past and the connections they've made there. Took that official visit to Harvard. So we'll see what happens with Guerby Lambert, but expecting a decision within 2 weeks. And we like the Irish right now to add to a class that ranks #7 nationally right now.
All right, Steve, thanks so much for being here. And as always, thanks for all the great intel.